Have you ever found yourself holding a faded photograph, perhaps one tucked away in an old album or discovered in a forgotten box? As you gaze at the faces staring back across the years, maybe your parents as a young couple, your grandparents on their wedding day, or even relatives you never had the chance to meet. Do you feel a pull, a sense of connection, but also a pang of something missing? Do you wonder about the stories behind those eyes, the hopes they carried, the challenges they faced, the laughter they shared? It's a feeling many of us experience as we get older. The past seems to call to us more insistently, not just as a collection of memories, but as a living tapestry woven with the threads of those who came before us. And with that feeling often comes another thought, perhaps a quiet worry. Who will remember these stories when we are no longer here to tell them? Will the richness of our family's journey, the lessons learned, the unique personalities simply fade into silence? This desire to capture and pass on our family history isn't just about nostalgia, though reminiscing certainly has its joys. It's about something deeper, something profoundly human. It's about understanding where we come from, and by extension, understanding a little more about ourselves. For you, as someone who has lived through decades of change, witnessed history unfold, and gathered a lifetime of experiences, your perspective is invaluable. You are the bridge between generations. You hold the keys to unlocking the past for your children, your grandchildren, and even great-grandchildren yet to come. Sharing your family's story is a gift unlike any other. A gift of identity, connection, and continuity. In a world that often feels fast-paced and disconnected, knowing your roots can provide an anchor. A sense of belonging that is increasingly precious. Think about how much richer your own life feels when you understand the struggles and triumphs of your ancestors. That same richness is something you have the unique power to bestow upon future generations. It helps them understand not just names and dates, but the values, the resilience, the spirit that flows through your family line. Perhaps you feel a sense of urgency about this. Maybe you've thought, I really should write some things down, or I need to tell the kids about their great-aunt Mildred. It's a common feeling. Life gets busy, even in retirement, and the task can seem daunting. Where do you even begin? What stories are important? What if your memory isn't as sharp as it once was? What if some memories are difficult or painful? Please know that these concerns are entirely normal. Many people feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of memories or unsure how to organize them, or hesitant to revisit certain parts of the past. You might worry about getting the details exactly right, or perhaps you feel your own life story isn't interesting enough to document. Though let me assure you, every life holds unique value and lessons. Sometimes, the biggest hurdle is simply starting. It can feel like standing at the foot of a large mountain, unsure of the path forward. You might also wonder how to involve other family members, or how to handle sensitive information with care and respect. These are valid questions, and they highlight why approaching this thoughtfully is so important. The process itself can be as meaningful as the final result, offering opportunities for reflection, connection, and even healing. But here's the encouraging truth. Documenting your family history doesn't have to be an overwhelming burden. It doesn't require you to be a professional historian or a gifted writer. It's simply about capturing the essence of your family's journey in a way that feels authentic to you. It can be as simple as recording conversations, labeling old photos, or writing down key memories and anecdotes. It's about progress, not perfection. The most important thing is to begin, to take that first step, however small it may seem. Think of it less as writing a formal history book and more as gathering treasures, the precious gems of memory, experience, and wisdom that define your family. Each story shared, each photo identified, each tradition explained adds another facet to this beautiful inheritance you are creating. In our time together through this narrative, we're going to explore this journey of documenting your family history. We won't just talk about why it's important, though we'll continue to touch on the profound benefits for both you and your loved ones. More importantly, we'll delve into the practical side of things. In our next chapter, The Main Body, we'll explore various ways you can capture these stories. We'll look at different methods, from simple pen and paper journaling and audio or video recording, to using online tools if you're comfortable with technology. We'll discuss what kinds of information are valuable to include, beyond just names and dates, thinking about personal qualities, significant life events, everyday routines, cherished traditions, and the social and historical context that shaped your family's experiences. We'll consider how to jog your memory, how to structure the information you gather, and how to make the process enjoyable rather than a chore. We'll look at ways to involve other family members, turning this into a collaborative project that can strengthen bonds across generations. We'll also touch upon handling sensitive topics with grace and deciding what is appropriate to share. Then, in our final chapter, the conclusion, we'll bring everything together. We'll reflect on the lasting impact of this work, the legacy you are building, and the deep sense of fulfillment that comes from connecting the past, present, and future. We'll offer encouragement and perspective, reinforcing the idea that this is a deeply personal and rewarding endeavor, a true act of love for your family. Our aim is to provide you with inspiration, practical ideas, and the confidence to start preserving those invaluable family treasures for the generations who will follow in your footsteps. This is your story, your family's legacy, and you are the perfect person to tell it. Let's embark on this meaningful journey together. Now that we've reflected on why preserving your family's story is such a meaningful endeavor, let's roll up our sleeves and delve into the practical ways you can actually capture these precious memories and details. This is where the journey truly begins. And remember, the most important step is simply starting. Finding a method and a rhythm that feels comfortable and enjoyable for you. There's no single right way to do this. It's about finding your way. Think of this chapter as exploring a toolbox filled with different approaches. You get to pick the tools that fit your hands and your task best. First, let's consider the medium. How will you actually record these stories? The options are wonderfully varied today. Perhaps the most traditional method is writing. This could be a dedicated journal where you pen down memories as they come, or maybe structured entries focusing on specific people or time periods. You might prefer writing letters to your grandchildren, each one sharing a piece of family history or a life lesson learned. Some find using simple notebooks, one for each family branch or theme, helps keep things organized. The beauty of writing is that it allows for careful thought and reflection. You can pause, refine your words, and revisit entries easily. Don't worry about perfect grammar or elegant prose. The value lies in the authenticity of your voice and the content you share. Imagine, for instance, finding a simple, handwritten notebook from your own grandmother detailing her journey immigrating to a new country. The raw emotion and personal observations captured in her script would be incredibly powerful, far more so than a perfectly typed but impersonal account. However, if writing feels like a chore, or if arthritis makes holding a pen difficult, please don't let that stop you. Another wonderful option is audio recording. In many ways, this is the simplest method. Most of us have smartphones these days with built-in voice memo apps that are incredibly easy to use. Just press record and start talking. You can do this during quiet moments at home, perhaps while relaxing in your favorite chair, or even during walks. Alternatively, small, inexpensive digital voice recorders are readily available. The incredible advantage of audio is that it captures your voice, the unique cadence, the laughter, the emotion behind the words. Think about how special it would be for future generations to not just read about their great-grandfather, but to actually hear him telling a story in his own voice. It creates an intimate connection that text alone sometimes struggles to achieve. You could record yourself telling specific stories, or perhaps have a conversation with a family member, letting the memories flow naturally. Consider Sarah, a lovely woman in her late 70s, who felt overwhelmed by the thought of writing, but discovered the joy of recording her memories. She'd simply talk into her phone for 15 minutes each afternoon, sharing tales of her childhood on a farm, her first dance, raising her children. It felt natural, like chatting with a friend, and soon she had hours of precious history preserved. Then there's video recording. This adds another layer, capturing not just your voice, but your expressions, your gestures, your physical presence. Seeing you tell a story adds a powerful dimension. Again, smartphones make this accessible. Or you might use a simple camcorder. You could record yourself speaking directly to the camera, perhaps sharing reflections on significant life events. Or you could arrange for a family member, maybe a grandchild, to conduct an informal interview with you. This can be a wonderful bonding experience. They might ask questions you hadn't considered, prompting new avenues of recollection. Imagine your great-grandchildren being able to watch a video of you demonstrating how to make a cherished family recipe, or showing them items from your past and explaining their significance. It brings history to life in a vibrant, engaging way. Of course, some people feel shy about being on camera, and that's perfectly okay. Choose the method that makes you feel most comfortable. You might even combine methods, perhaps writing down key facts and dates, but recording the more personal anecdotes orally. Beyond these core methods, there are digital tools. Family tree websites and software can be excellent for organizing genealogical data, names, dates, places, and often allow you to attach stories, photos, and documents to individual profiles. Some people find these platforms very helpful for visualizing family connections and collaborating with relatives. However, technology can sometimes feel intimidating, and if navigating websites or software feels stressful, don't feel pressured to use them. A simple notebook or audio recorder is just as valid and valuable. The key is choosing a tool you'll actually use consistently. Don't let the perceived need for fancy technology become a barrier. The stories themselves are what matter most. Once you've considered how you might record your history, the next big question is what to capture. It's easy to get stuck on just names, birth dates, and marriage certificates. While that factual framework is important, the real heart of family history lies in the human element, the stories, experiences, and personalities that bring the past to life. Think beyond the basic genealogy chart. What truly helps future generations connect is understanding who these people were and what their lives were like. Focus on personal stories and anecdotes. These are the gems that make history relatable. Think about, how did your parents or grandparents meet? What are your earliest childhood memories? What was your first job like? And what did you learn from it? What was the biggest piece of mischief you or your siblings got into? What were the major turning points in your life? Moments of joy, challenge, or significant change? What are some funny family moments that still make you chuckle? These specific incidents reveal character, illustrate values, and provide glimpses into everyday life. Don't underestimate the power of seemingly small stories. They often carry profound insights. Equally important is capturing character and personality. What were your parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles truly like? Were they quiet or outgoing, stern or humorous? What were their passions, hobbies, or pet peeves? Did they have common sayings or unique quirks? What values did they live by? Try to describe their essence. For example, instead of just saying grandfather was a farmer, you might share, grandfather loved the land deeply. He woke before dawn every day, and even in tough times, he had this quiet optimism. He always used to say, the seal remembers kindness, and he treated everyone, from his family to his animals, with that same gentle respect. It's these descriptions that paint a vivid portrait. Don't forget the details of daily life and routines. What may seem mundane to you now can be fascinating historical detail later on. What was a typical school day like for you? What games did children play? What did your family eat for Sunday dinner? What were household chores like? How did you celebrate holidays or birthdays? What kind of music was popular? What did your childhood home look or smell like? These details immerse future generations in the time period and provide a context for the bigger events. Imagine discovering a description of your grandmother's kitchen, the smell of baking bread, the pattern on the linoleum floor, the sound of the radio playing. It makes her world tangible. Of course, include significant life events, but elaborate on them. Beyond the dates of births, marriages, and deaths, think about migrations or immigrations. Why did the family move? What was the journey like? Consider military service, which wars, what experiences that you're comfortable sharing. Think about career paths, periods of unemployment, major illnesses or accidents, and how the family coped. Crucially, connect these personal events to larger historical contexts. How did events like the Great Depression, World War II, the Civil Rights Movement, or the invention of television impact your family's life and outlook? Understanding the times people lived through is essential to understanding their choices and experiences. Finally, make sure to capture family traditions and values. What customs were unique to your family? Are there special holiday rituals, recurring family jokes, or specific ways of celebrating milestones? Document cherished family recipes, not just the ingredients, but who made them, when, and any stories associated with them. Talk about heirlooms, furniture, jewelry, tools, photographs, and tell their stories. Who owned them originally? How were they passed down? What do they signify? Equally important are the unspoken values: resilience, generosity, education, faith, hard work, that were emphasized in your family. How were these values taught or demonstrated? These traditions and values are the invisible threads that bind generations together. Now, facing this wealth of potential information, you might wonder, how do I jog my memory and actually get started? It can feel like trying to grasp smoke sometimes. Be patient with yourself. Memory isn't always linear. One excellent starting point is photographs. Sit down with old albums or boxes of loose photos. Look closely at the faces, the clothes, the settings. Who are the people? What was the occasion? What do you remember feeling that day? Don't just identify the photo, tell its story. You can write notes on the back using an archival safe pen, or keep a separate notebook where you list photos and write down the associated memories. Seeing a visual image can unlock a flood of recollections. Objects and heirlooms are another powerful trigger. Hold that piece of jewelry your grandmother always wore. Run your hand over the wooden chair your father made. Reread an old letter. What memories surface? Tell the story of the object itself. where it came from, who used it, why it was kept. These tangible links to the past can be incredibly evocative. Similarly, music and smells have a unique ability to transport us back in time. Play music from different eras of your life, your teenage years, your courtship, the years you were raising children. Cook a family recipe whose aroma fills the house with nostalgia. These sensory cues can bypass the conscious mind and tap directly into stored memories. Using prompts and questions can also provide structure and direction. Sometimes, just being asked the right question is all it takes. You can find lists of memory prompts online or in books specifically designed for life story writing. Examples include, describe your childhood bedroom. Who was your favorite teacher and why? What was the most important invention during your lifetime? Tell me about a time you overcame a significant challenge. What advice would you give your younger self? You can work through these systematically or just pick ones that resonate. Even better, ask family members, especially younger ones, what they are curious to know about your life or the family's past. Their questions might surprise you and lead you down unexpected paths of remembrance. If possible, visiting significant locations from your past can be incredibly powerful. Walking through an old neighborhood, seeing a former home, even just from the outside, visiting a school, a church, or a family cemetery can unleash waves of memories tied to those places. The physical environment holds echoes of the past. Of course, this isn't always feasible, but even looking at old maps or photos of these places can help. Remember Margaret, who we mentioned earlier? She struggled to recall details about her school days until she found her old report cards. Suddenly, seeing the teachers' names and the list of subjects brought back vivid memories of classroom routines, playground games, and friendships. Similarly, David felt stuck until he started looking through his father's old toolbox. Each worn tool prompted a specific story about projects they had worked on together, conversations they'd had, and skills his father had taught him. Start with what comes easily. One memory often sparks another, creating a chain reaction. As you gather this rich material, stories, facts, photos, recordings, you'll naturally start thinking about how to structure and organize it. A jumble of disconnected information can be confusing for others to follow. Having some kind of organization makes the history much more accessible and meaningful. One common approach is chronological order. You could structure your narrative or notes based on life stages, early childhood, school years, young adulthood, marriage and family, career, retirement, or simply work decade by decade. This provides a clear, linear flow that's easy to understand. Alternatively, you might prefer a thematic approach. You could group stories and information around specific themes, such as holiday traditions, lessons learned from hard times, our family's journey west, funny family moments, or work and career paths. This allows for a deeper dive into particular aspects of the family experience and can be very engaging. Another option is to organize by person, dedicating a section, notebook, or folder to each key individual. Perhaps starting with your parents or grandparents and documenting everything you know or remember about them before moving on to another person. You could also think about structure in terms of family lines. Start with yourself and your immediate family. Then work backward generation by generation. Or you might focus on tracing your mother's line for a while, then switch to your father's line. Whatever structure you choose, the most crucial element of organization is labeling. Whether physical or digital, make sure everything is clearly identified. For photos, note names, dates, even approximate ones like summer 1952, locations, and the event or context, if possible. For audio or video recordings, Start each session by stating the date and the main topics you plan to discuss. Give digital files clear, descriptive names, e.g., John Smith Interview 2024, CO3-15, Part 1 Childhood. For physical documents or objects, use archival safe labels or create a keyed inventory list to avoid damaging the items themselves. Consider Clara, who felt swamped by notes scribbled on napkins and scraps of paper until she bought a simple multi-subject notebook and dedicated sections to different decades of her life. This structure immediately made the task feel more manageable and helped her see where the gaps were. The goal isn't a rigid, perfect system, but rather a way to make the information coherent and usable for those who come after you. Finally, while this can certainly be a personal project, consider involving other family members. Documenting family history doesn't have to be a solitary pursuit. In fact, it can be a wonderful way to connect with relatives, especially younger generations. One effective way is through interviews. Ask a child, grandchild, niece, or nephew if they would be willing to sit down with you and ask questions about your life and family history. They might even enjoy recording the conversation. This not only helps you capture stories, but also creates a meaningful intergenerational exchange. They might bring a fresh perspective and ask things you wouldn't have thought to talk about. You could also organize shared storytelling sessions. At a family gathering or reunion, or even over a video call, pick a theme or a specific ancestor and invite everyone to share memories or stories they have. Make sure someone is tasked with recording the session, audio or video, or taking detailed notes. These collective sessions can uncover different facets of a story, as people often remember the same event from varying viewpoints. Imagine the richness of hearing three siblings describe their childhood home. Each might highlight different details and memories, creating a more complete picture together. For those comfortable with technology, collaborative projects can be very effective. You could create a private family blog where different members can contribute posts, photos, and stories. Or use a shared online document where people can add information. Many family tree websites allow multiple family members to contribute to the same tree, adding individuals, dates, stories, and sources. Younger family members are often tech-savvy and might be enthusiastic about setting up and managing such platforms, turning it into a joint venture. Simply asking relatives for input can also yield great results. Reach out to siblings, cousins, or older relatives and ask what they remember about specific people or events. Ask what questions they have about the family history that they'd like answered. Collecting these different perspectives adds depth and accuracy to your family story. Think of the energy generated at a family reunion where time is specifically set aside for recording elders' stories. Perhaps teenagers are tasked with handling the cameras and microphones, learning valuable skills while connecting with their heritage. Or picture siblings gathered around a kitchen table, scanning old photographs together, laughing over forgotten hairstyles, and piecing together the narrative behind each image. These shared activities build bonds as much as they build the family archive. Of course, involving others requires sensitivity. Respect everyone's privacy and their level of interest. Not everyone will want to participate equally. Be mindful that different people may have different, sometimes conflicting, recollections of the same event. It's often best to acknowledge these multiple perspectives. Aunt Mary remembered it this way, while Uncle Joe recalled, rather than insisting on a single, correct version, unless clear evidence exists. If sensitive or painful topics arise, handle them with care, perhaps discussing beforehand with involved parties what is appropriate to share more widely. Making this a shared journey not only lightens your individual load, but enriches the final result, fosters connection, and helps ensure that the appreciation for family history continues into the next generation. These methods and areas of focus offer a starting point. Remember, the goal is to capture the unique spirit and story of your family. In our final chapter, we'll reflect on the profound impact of this work and the lasting legacy you are creating. For now, take these ideas, choose what resonates with you, and begin the rewarding process of gathering those family treasures. We've journeyed together through the importance and the practicalities of documenting your family history, exploring why this endeavor resonates so deeply and how you can approach it in ways that feel manageable and meaningful. Now, as we draw our thoughts together, let's reflect on the lasting significance of this work, the profound legacy you are crafting, and the enduring sense of connection it fosters across the vast expanse of time. This isn't just about compiling facts or recording anecdotes. It's about weaving a rich tapestry of human experience, a gift of understanding and belonging for those who will follow in your footsteps. In our previous chapter, we explored a variety of tools and techniques available to you. We talked about the simple contemplative act of writing down memories, whether in journals, letters, or notebooks, allowing for careful reflection and the intimate connection that comes from seeing familiar handwriting. We considered the power of audio recording, capturing the unique music of your voice, the laughter, the pauses, the warmth, creating an incredibly personal connection for listeners generations down the line. We also touched upon video recording, which adds the visual dimension of your expressions and presence, bringing stories to life in an immediate and engaging way. And we acknowledged digital tools like family tree software or collaborative websites, which can be wonderful for organizing data and sharing information, especially if technology feels comfortable for you. Remember, the method you choose is far less important than the act of choosing something and beginning. Whether it's pen and paper, a simple voice recorder, your smartphone, or a dedicated website, the right tool is the one that empowers you to start sharing. There is no hierarchy here. A heartfelt, handwritten note can be just as precious, if not more so, than a sophisticated digital archive. Beyond the how, we delved into the what, the substance of the stories you might capture. We emphasized moving beyond mere names and dates to embrace the richness of personal stories and anecdotes. Those specific moments, the funny mishaps, the hard-won triumphs, the quiet acts of kindness, are what truly illuminate the personalities and experiences of your ancestors and yourself. We talked about the importance of describing character and personality, painting vivid portraits of the people behind the names, capturing their quirks, their passions, their guiding principles. We highlighted the value of documenting daily life and routines, those seemingly mundane details that provide invaluable context about how people actually lived, worked, played, and connected in different eras. We discussed framing significant life events within their broader historical context, understanding how world events shaped individual and family trajectories. And critically, we explored the significance of capturing family traditions, values, and heirlooms, the rituals, beliefs, recipes, and objects that carry meaning and identity across generations. Each of these threads, the personal stories, the character sketches, the daily details, the historical links, the shared traditions, contributes to a vibrant and multi-dimensional understanding of your family's journey. It transforms a simple list of ancestors into a living narrative. We also acknowledged that accessing these memories isn't always straightforward. We suggested practical ways to jog your memory, spending time with old photographs and letting the images unlock associated feelings and stories, engaging with objects and heirlooms that serve as tangible links to the past. using sensory cues like music or familiar smells, employing prompts and questions to guide your recollections, potentially visiting significant locations if possible, and importantly, starting small, allowing one memory to lead organically to the next. And as you gather this wealth of information, we consider different ways to structure and organize it, perhaps chronologically, following the timeline of lives or eras, thematically, grouping related stories or experiences, or by person or family line. The key, we noted, is clear labeling and a system that makes the information accessible and understandable for others. Finally, we encouraged you to consider involving other family members, turning this into a collaborative project through interviews, shared storytelling sessions, or joint digital efforts, thereby enriching the history while strengthening family bonds. Now, stepping back from the practicalities, let's consider the deeper currents flowing beneath this work. What does it truly mean to undertake this process of documenting family history? It is, in essence, an act of profound connection. You are building a bridge across time, linking hands with those who came before you and reaching out to those who are yet to come. By preserving these stories, you are ensuring that the lives, struggles, joys, and wisdom of your ancestors are not forgotten. You are giving future generations the invaluable gift of roots, a sense of where they came from, which in turn helps them understand who they are. In a world that sometimes feels transient and rootless, this anchor of identity is incredibly grounding. Knowing the stories of resilience, adaptation, love, and perseverance within your own family line can provide immense strength and perspective, especially during challenging times. It reminds us that we are part of something larger than ourselves, a continuous narrative unfolding over generations. This process is also an act of self-discovery for you. As you delve into memories, reflect on past experiences, and piece together the puzzle of your family's journey, you inevitably gain new insights into your own life, your values, your choices, and the influences that shaped you. You might see patterns emerge, understand motivations more clearly, or develop a deeper appreciation for the path you've walked. Sometimes, revisiting the past, even difficult parts, can be a source of healing or reconciliation, allowing you to make peace with certain experiences or gain a new perspective. It's a chance to take stock, to understand the narrative arc of your own life within the larger family story, and to appreciate the unique legacy you yourself are contributing. Don't ever underestimate the significance of your own experiences. Your life story is a vital chapter in the ongoing family chronicle. Perhaps you still feel a flicker of hesitation. Maybe the task seems too large, your memories too fragmented, or your own story too ordinary. Let me reassure you with all sincerity, every story matters. Every memory captured, no matter how small it seems, adds a unique thread to the family tapestry. There is no such thing as an unimportant life when viewed through the lens of family history. The everyday experiences, the personal reflections, the simple truths, these are often the most relatable and enduring legacies. Perfection is not the goal. A complete, exhaustive history is rarely possible or even necessary. What matters is your authentic voice, your willingness to share what you remember and what you feel is important. Don't let the pursuit of absolute accuracy paralyze you. It's better to record a memory as you recall it, perhaps noting any uncertainties, than to let it fade away entirely. A slightly imperfect story preserved is infinitely more valuable than a perfect story lost to silence. Think of this work as planting seeds for the future. You may not see the full bloom, but you are providing nourishment for generations you may never meet. Imagine a grandchild or a great-grandchild years from now discovering the recordings you made, reading the journal you kept, or looking through the photos you carefully labeled. Imagine them feeling a connection to you, understanding their heritage more deeply, and perhaps feeling inspired by the lives that paved their way. This is the power you hold right now, the power to create that connection, to pass on that wisdom, to ensure that the chain of memory remains unbroken. It's an act of profound love and generosity. It says, "You belong. This is where you came from. These are the people who shaped our family. Their lives and my life have meaning, and so does yours." This endeavor can also bring a deep sense of purpose and fulfillment in the present. In a stage of life where roles may be shifting, taking on the mantle of family historian or storyteller can be incredibly rewarding. It provides a meaningful project, a way to actively contribute something of lasting value. It offers opportunities for reflection, reminiscence, and connection with loved ones. It affirms your role as the keeper of precious knowledge and experience, the elder whose wisdom bridges the generations. Embrace this role with confidence and joy. Your perspective, shaped by decades of life, is unique and irreplaceable. So, let this be our final encouragement. Begin. Start somewhere, anywhere. Pick up a pen, turn on a recorder, open an old photo album. Tell one story. Identify one photograph. Record one memory. Don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect mood. Let the process unfold organically. Be patient and kind with yourself. Celebrate every small step forward. Know that with each word written, each story told, each photo labeled, you are crafting a legacy of immeasurable value. You are ensuring that the echoes of the past continue to resonate, offering guidance, identity, and connection for the future. You are honoring those who came before you, and you are giving an extraordinary gift to those who will follow. Your family's history is a unique and precious narrative, woven from countless threads of experience. You hold so many of those threads in your hands right now. Share them, preserve them, celebrate them. It is one of the most meaningful ways to say, "We were here, we lived, we loved, we mattered." And that, ultimately, is a legacy worth leaving.